Yo, YouTube, welcome back to another video. Got a quick fire one for you today because I asked my Instagram story for 5 questions. So I'm choosing the best 5. There was only 6, but I'm still choosing the best 5 out of those 6. And only one of them is fitness related, which is fine with me. I like talking about other stuff as well. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I'll start off with the fitness question because that is actually the first one that came in. If you could only do 5 exercises for the rest of your life, what would they be and why? I mean, that would be a shit situation, but if I absolutely had to choose, it would probably be mainly geared towards compound lifts, like one posterior movement, maybe a lat pull down or a seated row, depending on what you're trying to bias a bit more in terms of maybe upper back or lats, but definitely a form of posterior movement there. And a machine chest press, I would probably choose over a dumbbell chest press, I'd say. It just feels better for me personally, and I don't think you need to have an overhead press in there because you're already recruiting the front delt a little bit with a chest press anyway. And then I would include a lateral raise. I think, that's a no-brainer for me because I always want to be working on that mid delt and width a little bit. So that would be number 3. And also, out of enjoyment purposes, maybe not the best option here, to be honest. It's definitely not actually, but out of my own enjoyment, I would choose 2 arm exercises, so biceps and triceps. So maybe a cable bicep curl or an incline bicep curl, and then maybe a tricep extension, which if you're really trying to maximize muscle fiber recruitment, you should maybe perhaps go for a JM press. But out of enjoyment, again, I'm going to go for a just normal rope push down. So those are my 5, I think. But yeah, that would be a pretty dire scenario. Question number 2, do you enjoy working by yourself? Short answer, yes. But there are, of course, pros and cons, right? Because I was a personal trainer from September 2021 until April 2024. So 2 years and 7 months or something, almost 3 years. And, the best part of 3 years anyway. And it was a great time in my life. Honestly, some of the best times I've had. And there are so many advantages of working directly with people in person, like human interaction, right? Especially in your early 20s. If you are in your early 20s watching this and, you're thinking of going on your own or whatever it may be. Because it was on my mind probably when I was 22, 23, but I didn't take the leap until I was 24 because I really wanted to be best equipped and I wanted to make the most of the job that I had, and I wanted to go traveling in summer of 2024, so leaving in April of that year made sense. But I do enjoy working by myself. It's just, just to answer your question, obviously, I love it, but you have to take into account that you're going to be solo a lot and you need to adjust to that, and it's not going to happen overnight. And you need to find other ways of keeping yourself busy outside of just being at home on your fucking laptop, which I do. I play paddle once a week with friends. I catch up with, my best friend once a week usually. And those are things that definitely take your mind away from work. I play soccer for 90 minutes every Saturday. I know these sound like simple things, but genuinely, it's important to still have that interaction with people because you're just going to lose your personality otherwise. Because I did find myself, there was a few months, there was a period where I really it felt like I was locked away in a room. And don't get me wrong, those periods I do not regret. And, you're going to benefit from that because you're working hard and stuff like that. And I'm trying to build a business at the end of the day. But I'm just saying you don't want to be losing, I suppose, the work that you've done on yourself as well. So I know I've elongated this answer. But yes, I do love it, but you need to find the best routine that's going to work for you and actually find ways of keeping yourself busy outside of work so you can have that balance in some way. When you're building a business, balance isn't as much of a thing, right? Of course. And you'll hear some of the most knowledgeable people online say that, and I completely agree. But you want to have some sort of fucking life as well. So yeah, I absolutely love it. It's paid off. It's extremely rewarding in a lot of ways. I'm helping more people. I'm giving a great service, and I have some great clients on board as well at the minute, which is a blessing, because I am building something that I'm proud of, which was my goal. So it's absolutely worth it, and I do enjoy it, but it takes some adjusting. And just to add to that as well, the whole social media side of things, you need to be thick-skinned, because I get a lot of hate, even though, I post pretty helpful content for the most part. And none of that bothers me, but if it does bother you, you're going to have to just put that aside, because anyone building a business nowadays, I assume, is going to involve a lot of social media posting if you really want to make a name for yourself. So just a quick note on that as well. Question number 3, dating life, question mark. Okay, look, I'll answer it. By the way, if you are new here, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And like the video, you would be a legend, but I don't even know where to start with this because my dating life's pretty non-existent at the minute. And I think that's helpful when you are building a business as well, not to have too many distractions there. Of course, like I said in my last question, have some sort of life outside of work. But I think going through a longer period of no dates has been beneficial for me personally. So right now, not much going on. And the whole dating apps thing, I've not really been active on them this year. Not so much anyway, because I did a lot of traveling as well, which is actually one of the questions coming up. But yeah, that was one of the reasons I wasn't really trying, because I knew I was going to be traveling for a couple of months, and then once I came back, again, not much interest at the moment. That is, of course, going to change. For all I know, I could be settled down in a few months. Definitely not going to be the case. But honestly, I feel like I'm very happy that I haven't been in a relationship from my early 20s until my mid 20s. I've only ever had one relationship, and it wasn't like crazy long. But I'm grateful that I've held off, whether that's just me failing, probably, but also I think it's been better overall, a net benefit for me not having a commitment like that over the past few years, because one, I don't think I'm ready. Two, I've saved a lot of fucking money. And number three, all the traveling I've done in the last 2 years, it just is slightly improved by the fact that you're single, you know? I think most people watching this would agree with that. So, and I don't mean to be offensive here whatsoever, but I see a lot of people, right, who, you know, are in relationships for a lot of their 20s, and then, you know, they break up, and it's just like, shit, like I'm never going to be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 ever again. You know, that ship has sailed. I don't know, man, that shit would scare me a little bit. So that's of course my own thing, that I'm just not ready. And of course, if you find the one, fucking go for it. You never want to have that what if feeling. And don't get me wrong, if that came along for me, I wouldn't pass it down. But I'm just saying, I'm grateful personally, from a personal point of view, that I haven't been committed to one person over the past few years. And by the way, quick one on the dating apps. As I said, I'm not really active on them, but when I do use them, it's just like, it feels like there's no intention from anyone on there. And don't get me wrong, maybe I'm guilty of that as well. But it's just like you match with people, and that's literally it. So I think there's a dating crisis in our generation right now. But look, I'm not too fussed at the minute, as I said. But anyway, enough of that. On to the next question. So, favorite trip I've been on. Man, this trip makes me so happy. It's insane. Like when I look back at pictures, this has to be the one for me. It was Bali of this year. So I went on the 5th of April or 4th of April until the end of May. So it was almost 2 months. And I went with one of my friends initially, who was temporarily living there. So I met him in Bali, and we were both working online. So that first 3-4 weeks was actually quite productive. We didn't drink much, but it was just a great environment to be in. And yeah, I was just like mesmerized by the place. And then we had another friend who came and joined us like 4 weeks in, one of our friends from Cork, of course, in Ireland. And we just had the fucking time of our life for 3 weeks. I mean, it was maybe the best 3 weeks of my entire life. And I'm not talking business related, because of course I probably wasn't doing as much work as I should have been. I was 25 at the time. Yeah, I was just after turning 25. And, you know, we're 3 lads in our mid-20s, best friends, just having an absolute ball in Bali, and it felt like an absolute dream, to be honest. So the pictures and the videos looking back are just insane. And yeah, the gyms, like you can have that healthy lifestyle, but also the partying, I'm not going to lie, we did a lot of that. No regrets whatsoever. It was an absolute fucking sick time. The females, the weather, and the overall good vibe that everyone is on. It feels like everyone's on the same page, just chatting to different people every day. Some people feel like fucking family after like 3 or 4 days, and then, you know, you're never probably going to see them ever again. We did stay in villas most of the time, but we stayed in some hostels just for that kind of social interaction, and we met a lot of cool people. So yeah, honestly, if you haven't gone to Southeast Asia or something along the lines of that, where you've either gone backpacking or whatever it may be, just for a somewhat longer period of time than 1 or 2 weeks, just to actually experience the whole traveling experience, then absolutely you need to do it. Number 5 is a big one. Biggest lesson you've learned in your 20s. So as I said, I'm 25, and honestly, I haven't thought about these questions at all before recording this video, because I wanted to record it while there's still daylight. So honestly, okay, so what I would say here is don't waste time, and just be a fucking kind person. And that sounds like simple advice, but just greeting everyone with a smile, first of all. Yes, a bit cringe, whatever, but that's so important, and it will get you a long way. but also just not wasting time in terms of like, right, so my SD card on my camera literally just said it's full. So to finish off this YouTube video, what I meant by don't waste time is that, you know, I'm only 25, right? I'm still very young, but it feels like the last 5 years have flown. And I'm sure, just from speaking to other people and how fast my life has gone the last few years, you'll get to 30, 40, 50 and think, where the fuck did the time go? So any experiences you want to have, or any business you want to build, any posts you want to start putting up on social media, you letting other people influence that is just insane, because nothing will matter in 100 years anyway. Yes, it might sound deep, whatever, but it is what it is. And same with, you know, those experiences, they won't be there forever. I mean, they can be, but more likely than not, you'll get to those later years and think, nah, I can't do that now, you know, because you're settled down or whatever it may be. So just do what you can while you can. And I suppose in your 20s, I'm taking a couple of risks, and I'm sure I'll take a few more. It's the time where you should do so, because you have that time to fuck up a little bit, and failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the path to success. Something I read recently, and I think it holds a lot of value. So listen, that is it for today's YouTube video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.